exercise, diet, food, calories, blood sugar, carbohydrates. All these words keep being thrown around and they are spiraling in my head. And this weekend, I was away. I was in Tampa with my family, and I was sitting at the table. And we're going to show you a little bit of what we ate there in a little while. But somebody make some sense of this for me. How do diets and exercise, how do they work together? What's the benefit of exercising? Does it really cause weight loss or help with weight loss, like people say? Is there something else? Is there some magic to putting them together? That's what we're going to be talking about here, right on the show tonight, here on Dwain Woode MD. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, that's right, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to get off of medication, who want to improve their metabolic health. In fact, who want to reverse their diabetes. If you're new, go ahead and put new in the comments because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music and say welcome, welcome, welcome to this corner. Also, if you have questions as we go throughout the night, go ahead and put those in the comments with a Q and let us know that you're there. That's something that we need to get to as we go throughout the night. Glad that you're here. Hopefully you had a great holiday weekend and are excited for getting into the rest of this month and getting into the show tonight. I do see some folks out there and I want to say hello. And in particular, I need you all to say hi back to me because I need to know if you can hear me this week. You remember last week, right? But hello, I see Teresa that's out there. She's saying hello, doctor, and everyone. And then I see Steve. Steve is saying hello to everyone. And so Teresa's saying, hey, Steve. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hop over here really quickly and just take a quick look. Yes, we can. So Steve, my man, Steve is saying yes, we can. There you go. That's what I wanted to hear, Steve. So thank you so much. All right. So let's hop to it, y'all. Let's because we got some stuff that we want to cover, and the overriding theory, right, and the overriding thought is diet and exercise. How do they play together? How do they work, right? That's what we're going to be talking about. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you a story and I want to show you some stuff like I normally do. You know, I've got my monitors over here to the side that we're going to be taking a look at. And let me go ahead and pull that up. Right, so I've got my monitors that we're going to be looking at. I've got my Dexcom. I've got my Libre. We're going to be looking at some reports that you'll see here in just a minute, like that report down there. Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and let's take a look at some of those numbers. In particular, right now you'll see that my Dexcom is saying that I'm 111 and my Libre is saying 84. As you know, those two can be 20%. Actually, all meters can be about 20% different from each other. And actually, they're right in there right now. So 84 versus 111. So a little less than a 20% different. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitors. I've got a Keto Mojo, I've got a Contour, and I'm interested in seeing what those look like. And you'll see on the graph as I'm talking, I want you to look at that Dexcom that you see on the screen and look at some of those numbers because we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. So I put the wrong strip in the Keto Mojo. So this is the Contour. Let's go ahead and grab a strip for the Keto Mojo and let's see where my blood sugars are. And then let's see, let's grab one of these spring-loaded Lansing device, and these are called Unisticks, y'all. So Unisticks, basically you break off the top part, And I'm going to pop it up here so you guys can hear it. Hopefully you heard that. And let's see if we got a good, yep, got a good drop of blood. All right, a good drop of blood for both of those. We'll see what that shows. So 114 right here for the Keto Mojo. We've got 105 for the Contour. And so if we put them in order, so the Libre says I'm in 80s, and then 105 for the Contour, 111 I think is what it was for the Dexcom, 109, and then the Keto Mojo 114. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this out, and let's pop a ketone strip in there. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? Because I have been eating. So I broke the fast, if you remember last week, Wednesday maybe. And I'm not going to show that to you right now. Broke that fast on Wednesday, and I ate all weekend. And my last meal was probably this morning at 1 o'clock. I know I was up late. Okay, about 1 o'clock. So we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. So if you think you know what my ketones are, go ahead and put those in. All right. So now let's go to the story. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about calories. We've been talking about food. We've been talking about blood sugar. And remember, our premise or our goal is, how do we put your diabetes in remission? In other words, how do we reverse your diabetes, right? So that's the question that we have. That's our goal. I shouldn't say that's the question. That's our goal for diabetes. We're reversing diabetes. We're working on getting rid of medication and improving metabolic health and so forth. Okay? All right. Well, so this past weekend, or before the weekend, I did a couple of shows and we talked about getting through the holidays. You guys remember that? So it was 4th of July. And so I went away. At the beginning of the week, my son had a birthday, and that's the week before, and then we had an anniversary. So that week is sandwiched usually between my son's birthday and our anniversary. And so we go away. We went to Tampa. We had a great time, by the way. And so we're sitting there, and I decide that I'm going to, well, we went in, and they had a meal for us that we ordered, and then because it's an anniversary, we had something to eat. They gave us a special thing, you'll see. And then my son, because it's his birthday, he got something. I'm not showing you his, but this is what we had. So right in the middle, you'll see that is red snapper, right? That's cooked. It's delicious, by the way. And then in the upper left-hand corner, there is a Caesar salad, and you'll see the anchovy right on top of it. And in the right lower corner, there's that delicious bread that they bring to the table. And the darker bread that you see there has some raisins in it. And then in the left lower corner, you'll see there, those are some fries. So this is what I ate while I was away. One of the nights. Okay, if you want to see the rest of that, come on back when we do our check-in later this week, and you'll see a little bit more of what was there. Okay, so how does diet and exercise work together? How does diet and exercise work together? So let's hop through that and let's talk. Okay, so diet and exercise, that's what we're talking about. So we're going to talk about the importance of diet and exercise in managing health, and in particular, right, we're going to make some correlations and some connections between blood sugar and weight and food and exercise, right? So that's kind of the milieu that we're going to be in. That's where we're heading, right? And so brief outline, we're going to talk about the role of exercise, understand caloric balance, impact of carbohydrates on blood sugar, talk about some hormonal impacts on food, the synergistic effect of diet and exercise, and then some practical tips for diet and exercise, and then some monitoring. So that's where we're heading, right? So, and just important things that we want to talk about as we continue this conversation, right? And so let's hop in. Let's talk about it. So, role of exercise. So, what is the role of exercise? And as you know, here over the course of the last 6 months, we've talked about reversing diabetes. But up until this month, we've really not talked about calories, and we've not talked about exercise. Everything that we've done so far has been mainly couched in the couched with on, I guess you say on with, but couched on food, right? We've been working to take care of food. So what is the role of exercise? So exercise has a lot of different roles. We're going to talk about the different types. So there are several types of exercises, and we can basically break them into 3 categories. Those are the aerobic exercises. That's walking, jumping, skipping, swimming, right? There's the strength training or resistance, weightlifting, bodylifting, and so forth. And then there's flexibility. So stretching, yoga, Pilates. Okay. So those are the basic 3 types. And an interesting thing to note is that your body, your blood sugar, will respond in different ways to different types of exercising. For example, it is not uncommon for someone who does strength training, right? So they go out to the gym and they're lifting weights or they're doing the bands, that after they exercise, immediately after, then they find that their blood sugar actually has spiked up significantly. And so people will come into the office and say, hey, wait a minute. I thought exercise is supposed to lower my blood sugar. But I finished exercising and all of a sudden my blood sugars are out off the charts. Okay, that's one. Or there are people who come in and said, man, every time I exercise, I go to the gym, I continually go low. My blood sugars are dropping down. I need to find a way to fix that. And so what's happening is that your body is responding in different ways to different exercises that you're doing. For strength training, when you are lifting, when you're getting ready to lift that weight, your body basically dumps a bunch of sugar into your bloodstream so that you have the immediate power, the immediate energy to lift those weights. Okay? When you are doing running, jumping, skipping, swimming, in those instances, the body is giving you the blood sugar as you need it, and your body is burning it as it gets it. So one is dumping a bunch of sugar in, and you use it, and then whatever's left is what you got. And in the other case, as your body is needing the energy, the body is providing that for you as you move through the different workouts that you have. And so different ways of the body responding to different types of exercising. Okay, so those are the types of exercises that you may end up doing, and each one has a role in how you're supposed to use it, or a role in the management of what we're doing. I don't start people exercising when we're talking about weight management. When someone walks into me and they say, hey, I want you to help me lose weight, we go through the process of evaluating them. If they are exercising, then I tell them to continue exercising at the same rate, at the same pace, at the same types of things they're doing. But if that's someone who's not exercising, I don't start them out exercising as part of their weight journey. Why? Because most people haven't learned yet how to exercise and respond to what the body needs in a sensible way. So what does that mean? When you exercise, you get hungry because you're burning calories. So even if you have excess calories in terms of weight, even if you have excess blood sugar, when you exercise, your body is going to need energy. And because you are using carbohydrates, because you're using glycogen, it will force you to eat, right? So you'll be hungry. And so someone exercises off, let's say 300 to make the numbers good or simple. So they exercise 300 calories. So they get on the treadmill, they get on the bike, whatever they do, they swim, and they burn 300 calories. And now they're hungry. Well, they haven't learned yet to listen to their body so that they only eat 300 calories. So what they ended up doing is they burn 300, and because they're famished, they feel they're famished, they're hungry, they end up eating 500 or 600. So what did we just do? Well, we exercise because we say we want to burn calories, but we ended up eating more than the calories that we burn. So what do you think happens to weight? Well, the weight goes up. And in fact, for people, when they're eating, when they feel like they're famished, when they feel like they're hungry, the types of things that they eat, once again, they haven't quite learned how to sit in that space and how to process that space where they're eating because they're exercising. So the things that they eat, because they feel like they're hungry, because they feel like they've got to get some energy in, the things that they end up eating are those things that will cause spikes in blood sugar. And so not only did we not exercise an appropriate, I shouldn't say exercise, we didn't eat an appropriate amount, but the thing that we ended up eating caused blood sugars to spike. And we know when blood sugar spikes, what comes out? Insulin has to come out. When insulin comes out, guess what happens? Yeah, all the other things that we talked about in terms of having blood sugars go up and stimulating appetite and weight and so on and so forth. Okay? So that's why I don't usually tell people when they are first talking to me about weight that they should exercise. Now, blood sugar, little different story, and we'll come to that here in just a minute. All right. So once again, we're talking about diet and exercising. Diet and exercising. So types of exercise, those are the different ones. These are the ways that they work, how the body responds to them. So blood sugar and weight. Blood sugar and weight. So exercise as it relates to blood sugar and weight. So what does this do? What does exercise do when it comes to blood sugar, and what does it do when it comes to weight? Well, number one, when you exercise, it increases your insulin sensitivity. Increases insulin sensitivity. It makes the amount of insulin that's in your body look like it's much more to the entire body. And that means that your body produces less and you have to take less if you're on insulin. So let's pause there for a minute. Let's put a pin. Let's talk about that. So it increases insulin sensitivity. So that if your body makes 5 units, for example, and that's just a number. Don't quote me on a number. It's an example. If your body makes 5 units, it makes the 5 units looks like 10. So that if you needed 10 units, all of a sudden the 5 is sufficient. See what just happened? So when you exercise, the body is able to process. It's able to use the insulin that it has on board, or the insulin that you end up taking. It is able to use it more efficiently so you don't have to take as much. What's one of the pillars that we talked about in terms of reversing diabetes? Number one, decrease the amount of insulin that we either take from outside or the insulin that our body makes. So if we're more insulin sensitive now, we don't have to take as much and the body doesn't use it or doesn't make as much. Okay, so number one, increases insulin sensitivity. Number two, this helps to regulate blood sugar levels. So if I'm in the gym, exercising, and forget gym, you're walking around your neighborhood, walking in your house, for example, right? Exercise, just using a muscle. If you're doing that, then the blood sugars are going down. And if the blood sugars are going down, that means insulin levels are going down as well. So when we exercise, it increases our insulin sensitivity. So we're decreasing the amount of insulin that's in our body, pillar number one. Because we're exercising, the exercising is using sugar for energy. As we do that, the blood sugar goes down, right? Pillar number 3. And because the insulin and the sugar is going down, then our appetite goes down as well. Now, the question that some of you are asking, I can hear it now, I see it, right? I can hear it. Is that, wait a minute, if I'm exercising and the exercise is making me hungry,
And now I'm exercising and it's decreasing the insulin and decreasing the sugar. And so because the insulin goes down, my appetite is not as bad. Then which one wins? And it depends on your body, right? We'd have to learn that. We'd have to figure that out, right? Because it's not all one size fits all. Okay. And then it burns calories. Like we just talked about. We just burn calories. So if you exercise, you will burn calories. We'll come to some numbers here in just a minute. Reducing abdominal fat. Right? So when we exercise reduces abdominal fat. Because where do those calories come from? Yeah, they got to come from somewhere. And then exercise improves overall health, stretching, being mobile, increasing your oxygen carrying capacity, expanding your lungs, all of those things that we talk about in terms of being healthy, exercising does those as well. Okay? All right. So that's blood sugar and weight. So caloric balance. When we talk about caloric balance, what does that really mean? Caloric balance means that it is the balance between what you take in and what you put out. Right? So what comes in, what goes out. That's what we talk about. That's what we mean when we talk about caloric balance. That is the food that you eat and the beverages you take in versus the energy that the body needs to function. So your basal metabolic rate, your physical activity, the things you do other than just... So basic metabolic rate, by the way, that's the amount of energy that your body will burn if you just sit and do nothing. Just to breathe and your brain working and so forth. That's just the basal metabolic energy that your body needs. That's the basal metabolic rate. Physical activity, of course, those things that you do. You get up, you run, you jump, you go to work, you climb the stairs, you come down, you pick up a box, you take it in the garage, you go out to the garden, you do all those things. So that's physical activity. And then the thermic effect of food. The thermic effect of food, we talked a little bit about this last week or the week before. In order to digest food, the food takes a certain amount of energy to digest itself. So if I take an apple, for example, and I put it in my mouth and I'm eating that apple, in order for that apple to get digested and the nutrients to be absorbed, there's an amount of energy that the apple requires for my body to process it. And that is what we talk about when we're talking about the thermal effect of food. Okay? Now, if you put all that together, that is what the out is. So the stuff you eat and then all those things together is the out. So caloric expenditure. So we talked a little bit about this last week, but let's review that again. So walking. So if you walk about 30 minutes, you'll burn about 150 calories. And this is just a regular, normal walk. This isn't like fast walking, right? This is just a normal walk that you go on. If you run for 30 minutes, you'll burn about 300 calories. If you cycle, you'll burn about 250. And if you go swimming for 30 minutes, you'll burn about 200 calories. 200 calories, okay? So when I was in Florida, and I looked at, and I don't have, did I put that? I don't think I put that, but come back to one of our chickens. So I had a steak. Actually, no, it is in here. Hold on. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm not going to tell the story yet. But yeah, so 150 calories, 300 calories, 250 calories, 200 calories, depending on the type of activity that you do. Now, if you run faster, you'll burn more calories. If you cycle farther and longer, or farther and more vigorously, going up hills, then you'll burn more. Okay? So this is just regular, normal, simple processes. But you can increase the amount of calories you burn by changing the type and form of the activity. For example, if you're on a treadmill and you're just going flat, right? So that's probably about 150 calories per half hour. But if you, on the treadmill, if you change the incline and you change the speed of the treadmill, guess what? All of a sudden you're burning more calories. Well, let's take a look at the food. Right? So the caloric content. So we talked about what you can burn by doing activities.
Now let's talk about how much calories are in food themselves. So oatmeal raisin cookies, 150 calories. And that, we say it's 150, we say that you can burn 150 and you walk 30 minutes, right? So there you go. Chocolate chip cookies, a little bit more, so 200 calories. And if you want to burn that, then you can do 40 minutes of walking. All of these are, by the way, walking. 40 minutes of walking. If you have a scoop of vanilla ice cream, which is 137 calories, 27 minutes of walking. If you eat a donut, 300 calories. I'm not sure what kind of donut that is, but hey, if you eat a donut, 300 calories, that's 1 hour, right? So you walk for an hour. Because remember we said walking half an hour is 150 calories. Or, let's back up. If you wanted to do something else, for example, you can go swimming, right? You can go swimming for 30 minutes and then maybe walk for about 20 minutes, right? So you can combine them. Notice what I just did, right? So 300 calories in the donut, and I say, hey, I'm going to swim for a little while, and then I'm going to walk for a little while. And if you eat a medium banana, it's 105 calories, so that is 20 minutes. Now, the issue that most people have is not that they have these calories that are in the food and the calories that they burn. It's that they don't do enough of the burning for the calorie that they ate. Most people won't eat one cookie. All right, most people will eat 2 oatmeal raisin cookies, and they'll probably have some ice cream. So if we go back to our chart, right? So 2 oatmeal raisin cookies, that's 300 calories, and a scoop of ice cream, that's 137 calories. So that's now 437 calories. That would mean we'd have to walk for 1 hour for the 2 cookies and then 27 minutes for the scoop of ice cream. And most people don't walk for an hour and a half. Hour and 27 minutes. Okay? So I want you to put a pin there for a minute because we're coming back to another concept that we're about to run into. All right. So the hormonal impact of food. Remember we said that it's not just the calories of the food, but there are some hormones that have some play here. So let's take a steak and some chocolate cake. And we're going to assume that the steak is 500 calories and the chocolate cake is 500 calories. Steak and chocolate cake, right? That can happen. So if we look at both of these, so 500 calories steak, because it's protein, it will stabilize the blood sugar. We get minimal rise in our insulin because there's not a lot of carbs in there unless you bread it and do some other stuff to it. And unless the seasoning, the rub has sugar in it, right? Sometimes they'll put brown sugar in it. Because it's protein, it promotes satiety, that is feeling of fullness, and it reduces the hunger. It supports muscle building and maintenance. And it supports fat loss because you're not eating a lot. Okay, so that's the 500 calories. When you eat the steak, that's what it does. Let's compare that to the chocolate cake. Well, if we eat the chocolate cake, so the calories are exactly the same, but the chocolate cake causes a rapid spike in my blood sugar. When the blood sugar goes up, the body has to produce insulin, or I have to take insulin to bring it down. This stimulates my appetite and it stimulates my cravings. And so what happens is I eat 500 calories and I go to the gym and I burn 500 calories, but now I'm feeling like I'm famished later on. You see what happened? So that's why calories are not calories, are not calories, are not the same. And because the insulin is out, this now leads to fat storage. So 500 calories, but our bodies, the body does something differently with it. So what happens after the cake, right? So foods high in refined sugars and simple carbs cause spikes in blood sugar and insulin, like we just said. Protein and healthy fats lead to slower, more controlled release of glucose into the bloodstream.
So our body, our physical body responds differently other than calories to the different foods that we eat. So let's talk about the synergistic effects. Synergistic effects of exercise and diet. What does synergistic mean? Synergistic means what happens when they work together. What happens when they work together? So diet and exercise together. So diet provides the necessary nutrients, the nourishment for and the energy for the physical activities that we do. So the reason we eat, now you think the reason we eat is because we can get together and hang out and celebrate and feel better. The reason we eat, the reason we're supposed to eat, is because the food that we eat provides energy for the body to function. That's the reason for food. Nourishment, right? That's why we talk about those nutrient-dense foods. But we've used food, right, because of our culture, because of our spiritual practices, because of our taste, because of comfort. So we've used food for lots of different things. But if we go back to say, okay, what is the purpose of food? The purpose of food is to provide energy. And then exercise helps utilize the energy from food and helps us to maintain caloric balance. So let's have a conversation right here, because I love this. This is a great conversation we're going to have, okay? So if the purpose of food is energy, and then activity is to balance the energy, what would happen if we didn't put in so much food? I want you to think about it. If we didn't put in so much food, then we would not need the exercise for food management. Let me say that. Or for blood sugar management. Now, there are other benefits, like we talked about before, the overall wellness, mobility, increasing, lung capacity, being outside and getting air and sunlight and all those other things, great. But when we talk specifically about blood sugar and talk about what we're doing in terms of the management of diabetes and weight, we saw last week that the benefit of food, of managing food, is much bigger, has a bigger impact than the exercise. Right? So food has a bigger impact than exercise on the management of our weight. And y'all, food has a bigger impact on the management of blood sugar. How much do you have to exercise to bring your blood sugar down? I don't know. But I can tell you, if I don't want my blood sugar to spike up, if I don't eat it, then my blood sugar doesn't spike. Boom, done. Now I say that done as though it's a simple thing, right? It's not as simple as that sounds, because there are lots of complications. That's where the heat model comes in. There are all these things that will happen that are not just a linear thing. It's not as simple as calories in, calories out. Okay? All right. So diet and exercise together. So that, what do they do? What do they do? All right. And so as we talk about exercise, we said that exercise enhances insulin sensitivity. So regular exercise increases the efficacy of insulin in regulating blood sugar. Hands down. If it's in there, if we've eaten it, if we have stress, if we're not sleeping, if we are anxious, if we're depressed, if we're lonely, tired. So all those things that are non-food related that cause blood sugars to go up, exercise sensitizes your body to the insulin so that those blood sugars are better, regardless of food. So exercise will do that for you. Sensitizes the body. So a balanced diet supports stable blood sugar, reducing the risk of insulin resistance. So balanced diet. What does that mean? That means food that is not highly refined, not highly processed, no added sugar, that's whole foods. Remember all those things that we've been talking about, right? That has some non-starchy vegetables. Now, here's a concept that I was talking to someone just this morning about. If you eat something that causes a spike in blood sugar, we know that the insulin is going to go up. Your body will either make it or you'll have to take more insulin from outside to keep that blood sugar down. Make sense? So spike in blood sugar results in insulin. Insulin is that switch that gets turned on that says store or don't store. Store if it's on, don't store if it's off. So when insulin comes out and insulin is elevated, that is the switch that puts the switch on that says store. So that you ate a cookie an hour ago and the blood sugar spiked up and the insulin comes out and insulin is bringing the blood sugar back down, which will happen. But the insulin is up, right? It came up. And so right after you ate the cookie, you decided you were going to be good and you ate a delicious low carb salad. You didn't put any croutons in there. You didn't put any salad dressing on there. You didn't put any starchy vegetables, just some salad. In fact, let's make it even simpler. You had a plate of spinach, either sauteed spinach or raw spinach, just a plate of spinach, nothing else on it. You sauteed it in water, you steamed it. Because the insulin switch is on, that spinach that you just ate will cause you to gain weight. I want you to hear what I just said. Spinach on its own, non-starchy vegetable, not a lot of carbs, lots of vitamins and minerals and liquid, right? There's fluid in there. But if the insulin is elevated, it almost doesn't matter what you eat. You're going to put on weight. And that's sometimes the frustrating, confusing thing to people. It's like, wait a minute, all I'm eating is salad, but you're insulin resistant. And that means that your insulin levels are elevated. Or you ate that cookie this morning and your blood sugar is elevated, so insulin had to come out to treat the blood sugar. So the role for exercise, one of the roles for exercise in this instance, is to bring the blood sugar down, to sensitize the body to the insulin that my body's making so that I don't get that big spike, so that the switch doesn't stay on, so that broccoli and collard greens doesn't cause me to put on weight. Right? I want you to follow that train of thought. Okay? So a balanced diet helps support stable blood sugars, reducing the risk of insulin resistance. Weight management. Most of the benefit that you will see with weight management as we talk about diet and exercise, most of the benefit, a huge part of the benefit, a large part of the benefit, much of the benefit, did I say that in enough different ways? Comes from the food. Comes from changing the diet. It is easy to eat 1,000 calories in your diet. It's hard to exercise off 1,000 calories. So most of the benefit for diet and exercise in weight management comes from changing food. Exercise allows some caloric expenditure. That means exercise, not that exercise doesn't burn calories, it does. But remember the calories that we're burning, right? 150 calories for 30 minutes of walking. Right? Remember that chart that we saw? Exercise for muscle building and flexibility and contouring and maintenance. So what I tell people is exercise is great when we've changed what we're doing in terms of our diet. Now that we've gotten all those things in place, that's why we spent so much time talking about food, talking about how food responds, talking about how our body responds, talking about the things that were driving us to food, talking about the heat model. Because if we can change that, we get a bigger bang for our buck than if I say to you, go to the gym and go exercise. Now, I want you to hear me quickly, because somebody's going to say, well, Dr. Woode says that exercise doesn't count. Yes, it does count. And should you exercise? Yeah, you need to be exercising. But if we're talking about managing blood sugar and talking about managing weight, if you want a big punch in the arm, a big boost, let's manage the food. And if we manage the food, then now we can use exercise. When I was a kid, does anybody know what an ice pick is anymore? Right, if you think you know what an ice pick is, put yes, right? So ice pick, right? So ice pick is a little pick, then you got a big block of ice, right? And you had a big mallet that you broke that up, and then you put it in the ice bucket. And then if you had those smaller but large pieces of ice, then you take the ice pick and you chip it, right? So if we use that analogy, then food is the sledgehammer. Bang! Your blood sugars are 500, 600. Bring it down, change the food. Now, will exercise bring it down? Yes, but you've got to exercise a lot more for a lot longer to bring that down. But I can change my diet right now, and in 2-3 days, my blood sugars are lower. But if I do nothing, keep eating the way I'm eating, but exercise, my blood sugar doesn't come down that much. Okay? All right. So exercise is good for muscle building. So once you've lost weight, in the process of continuing to lose weight, now we got to say, okay, let's get some muscles. We don't want to lose muscle. Now we exercise. I've told you that there are some body sculpting things that I'm working on, right? So now that I've lost weight, this right here, I need this thing to be like a part of a six-pack right there. This one, not all 6 of them, just this one. So that's where my exercise comes in. So now I'm sculpting, now I'm changing. And then exercise also helps with maintenance, because remember, exercise will allow you to lose some calories. So if I ate a cookie, well, I won't say cookie. Let me see something else that doesn't cause a spike in my blood sugar. A piece of steak. I ate a piece of steak that's 150 calories. I can go exercise, burn that off. Okay, so that's how it plays in weight management. And this is where exercise also plays a part. Exercise improves physical health, mental well-being, and overall quality of life. When you exercise, you get those endorphins, right? So the mind is clear. Like I keep saying, you expand your lungs, so you get a bigger inflow of oxygen. Getting out of the house, right, improves your mental ability, improves your mental outlook. If you take someone and keep them in the house all the time, then we saw this during COVID, right? People were locked up in the house, and they got depressed, became anxious, became, all kinds of other personality and psychological things happen because they were in the house. So you get out, so it improves your mental health, and it improves your overall quality of life. And it reduces the risk of chronic disease and enhances longevity. All benefits of exercising all benefits of the things that we do. So exercise and diet work synergistically together. They work hand in hand. So what are some practical tips? What are some practical tips that we can do when it comes to exercise, right? Some practical tips. And a lot of what we will talk about are things that we've been talking about as part of this process that we've been going through. New Year, New You, right? Remember, New Year, New You is a path that we're on for reversing our diabetes. And so several things that you already know are things now we apply them in a different way, in a different space. Right? So what are some practical tips? Well, number one, we want to make sure that we have a balanced diet. Right? We want to use balanced meals. Include a variety of nutrient-dense foods. There's that phrase, nutrient-dense. Not calorie-dense, but nutrient-dense. So vitamins, minerals, fiber, fluids, all those things. You want to concentrate on whole foods because if it's whole, it means it's not a lot of processing. Minimizing the amount of carbs that may be added, the amount of sugar that's maybe added. You retain the structure of the food, the fiber that's in it. Right? Whole food, that's what whole food does. Avoid highly processed foods and sugary drinks. Most of us don't necessarily eat a lot of our calories, we drink it. So we get it from the sodas, we get it from the juices that we're consuming. And then you want to incorporate regular activity, regular physical activity. So aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate, intense aerobic exercise per week. 150 minutes. And I'm not talking about going and joining whatever the things are. I'm talking about walking around your neighborhood, right? Just incorporating some activity. Because not only does that help with insulin resistance, not does it help you burn some calories, some calories, but all of the mental and physical and emotional and all those things that are there, exercise great for that. Right? So include resistance training. When we said that the body responds differently to different types of exercise. So remember, resistance versus strength training versus yoga and stretching and so forth. Right? You want to do that 2 days per week. Always you want to monitor blood sugar levels because you now can tell how different things that you're doing affects your body. How does that food that I ate affect my body? How does that exercise that I do affect my body? Am I seeing the benefits of the things that I'm doing? You can only tell that if you're monitoring blood sugars. So I'm a big proponent for monitoring. And, I've got my continuous monitors here. I've got my Dexcom. I've got my Keto Mojo. All of those are with the idea of monitoring and making sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do. And then you can adjust. Right? You can adjust what you're doing based on blood sugars, adjust your habits, adjust the different activities that you do. And then there are always tools. Continuous glucose monitors, which I have, food journaling and blood sugar testing, nutritional apps, online tools, support groups. Hey, Dwain Woode MD, right? When we educate, we empower, and we encourage. Encouragement comes from that right there. Support groups, health coaches, right? Remember, we got our next level coaching. All of those are with the idea of providing the benefit that you need to be able to be successful in the places you need to be so that you can have success in your diabetes reversal. That's our goal. All right, so let's go out of here and let's catch up with some of these comments that we have. Let's see. So Teresa says she thinks that my ketones are going to be 0.6. Steve says, I just finished a 29-hour fast, and my ketones were 2.5. My wife finished a 48 fast. Yes, what? So, Steve, that's for you. And, Steve, this is for your wife. Tell her congratulations as well. Yeah. That's how we do it, y'all. That's how we do it. Jennifer says, howdy, y'all. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Glad that you're here. Steve said, ended my fast with roast beef and avocado. Topped those off with sugar-free creme brulee that my wife makes for me. It's delicious and full of protein. I love it, love it, love it. Steve is saying, hey, Jennifer. Jennifer, awesome, Steve. Congratulations. Yes, definitely. Teresa says, Steve, your wife is fasting now? Yes. See, hey, Steve, is she your mentee? And we had that challenge, mentor-mentee. Teresa saying, hey, Jennifer. And Teresa said, yes, she does remember an ice pick. You know, a lot of people don't know what an ice pick is, right? Some of our younger folks. And then Steve says, yes, my wife has lost over 100 pounds together. I have lost, what? There we go. Let me see, what other sounds do I have on it? Hold on a second. Let's see what I have. Nope. There you go. That's a good. No, I don't like it. Okay, we got some other stuff here that we'll maybe play around with. But yes, Steve. So congratulations. Tell your wife congratulations. Very proud of both of you. And Teresa saying, awesome, Steve. I love that. Yes, definitely. All right. Well, y'all, here is a great place for us to do our thought for today. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that right now. And our thought for today is that awareness is the first step towards change. Awareness is the first step towards change. Awareness is fundamental, is foundational of all meaningful change. It's only by recognizing and understanding our current state that we can begin to envision and pursue different future changes. When it's acknowledged, when we know, when we see, when we say, yes, this is what's going on, when we see a health challenge, understanding the habits and becoming conscious of our behavior, conscious of our emotions, conscious and aware of the things that push us in that direction, it shines light on the areas where we have to make change, where things are needed, where we got to tweak this. It empowers us to make informed decisions. Most of us, for our lives, have made decisions, right? So whatever age you are, you've been making decisions based on your the knowledge you have. Some decisions you're like, man, this is the best thing that I've ever done in my entire life. And some decisions were like, yeah, maybe not that one. But you made it based on information, right? So we educate. And being able to know, to be aware that there is an issue is so important. If you don't know, then sometimes we're stuck. Acknowledgement, awareness empowers us to make informed decisions. It allows us to make realistic and set realistic goals and take actionable steps to move us in that direction, in the transformation that we're going to be doing. Without awareness, we remain stuck. Yeah, we remain in that dark place, unable to move, unable to set up roots, unable to push ourselves up. It doesn't give us the leverage that we need. But awareness, if we embrace it today, it lets us soar. It guides us in our journey, and it holds us accountable because now we have information. Here on the channel, we educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. That's the path. But awareness is the first step towards change. And that is our thought for today. All right, all right. So let's take a look at my ketones. And I don't know, Teresa. Not Jennifer. I don't think you were here when I showed this. So I'm gonna do this for you right now. So this is what I ate this weekend, Jennifer. One of the things. I know. There it is. All right. So we've got some red snapper in the middle. We've got that's chocolate cheesecake in the upper right-hand corner. We've got some bread that they brought to the table. We've got some fries. And that's a Caesar salad with, you see the anchovy right there in the top. Yep. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look at what my Keto Mojo says that my blood sugar, not my blood sugar, but my A1, what my ketones are. All right, so let's hop over there and let me do this. Let me pull up my Keto Mojo meter. My Keto Mojo meter app. All right, so let's grab that. Let's go ahead and turn this back on. All right, that should be syncing here in just a minute so we can see what that is. All right. And blood sugar is 114 and it says low. Did you see that, Teresa? You see that, Jennifer? You see that, Steve? It just says low. It wasn't able to pick it up. Oh, so Teresa said she didn't see the cheesecake, so she changed it to a 0.3. But yeah, it's just low right now, just low. It can't even pick up any ketones. Remember, ketones below 0.5 is considered normal. Ketones that are 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. Let's take a look at my graph, and you'll see my graph there. That tan line at the top is blood sugar, and then the turquoise line at the bottom, that's the ketone. And as the blood sugars are higher, the ketones, of course, go down. Because remember, insulin and ketones can't live together, and so blood sugars are high. Insulin is there, and when insulin is there, ketones kind of go away. I shouldn't say kind of, but they go away. All right? Let's go ahead and let's take a look at my meter on my report, and you'll see there on the screen that my Dexcom says that my average blood sugar is 123. This is over the last 2 weeks, right? And so let's talk about that for a minute. So the last 2 weeks, what do we have? So this past weekend, I was over in Tampa, and you guys saw the things I ate. Last weekend was anniversary, right? So we had some anniversary food. And the weekend before that was my son's birthday, right? So for the last 2 weeks, you'll notice that my blood sugar on average used to be about 105, 106, but it's slightly higher, right, over the last couple of weeks. If I go and I do a 90 day, because remember this is over 90 days now, 107 with a glucose management indicator of 5.9. So that's what it thinks that my blood sugar or my A1C would be. If I look at my daily graph, and this is one I want you to see, over the weekend, over this past weekend, let's start. So Thursday we broke our fast, and so blood sugars got up to about 195. Friday, right? Friday's good, so we did a great job there. We landed and we went to lunch, so I had something there spike. And then that evening, I want you to see, look at those blood sugars up to 230 coming into the morning. And then on Saturday, didn't eat. And then we went out Saturday night, right? And that I didn't show you, that was ice cream right there. Okay. And then into today, and I want you to see that the residual right? So I have not eaten, right? I want you to see the residual until I've stopped eating, and now the blood sugars are coming back down. Okay? So I wanted to point out to you guys, as you're talking about and you're managing blood sugars, right? The blood sugar management is a real thing. Food management is a real thing. There are times where you're going to be in a situation, you go on vacation, you go on a cruise, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. Your question, the thing you have to decide is, how am I going to manage that? And you guys remember that I fast. I started my fast early last week, Sunday to Wednesday, I believe, right? In preparation for going on the trip, and then now I'm back in my fasting phase. Okay, so you got to be mindful. You have to make the decisions that put you in a space to be successful. Awesome. All right. So I talked to a group of high schoolers today, and I talked to them about their unlimited potential. Their unlimited potential. At our fingertips, right now, right where you are, is the ability to be successful when it comes to your health. The ability to make changes. The ability to move beyond some of the things that have happened to you in terms of your health in the past. That ability, that potential, education, empowerment, encouragement. You see it right there. Unlimited. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter what you've tried in the past. It doesn't matter what you've been told in the past. It actually doesn't even matter what complications you've had in the past. Right now, you can make a decision on how you move forward. That's the beauty of potential. Potential is there, and your job, your goal, your desire, your plan, your future path is to tap into that. And we tap into that with education, empowerment, and encouragement. Here on the channel, we educate with our shows, with the blogs, with the podcast. All of that is with the intention of changing our mindset. Remember, awareness, right? We just said that. You got to be aware. That comes through education. We empower with the tools that we learn, all of the challenges, all the different tools the HEAT model, emotional intelligence, how to create a menu, how to look at your medications, decide which ones should be on, which one should I talk to my doctor about coming off. All of those are tools that we're learning. And then we encourage through the community that you are a part of, the community that supports, the community that rallies around, the community that talks, the community that shares. The HEAT model tells us the triggers, those things that will push us in a direction that takes us off of our plan. Whatever the meal plan, whatever the fasting plan, whatever the diet plan, whatever the wellness plan that we're on, the HEAT model gives you those things that push us through that. So habits, emotions, access, and taste. Those habits that we form, those routines, those social cues that says, hey, it's noon, we're gonna eat. We go to the popcorn, we're gonna get popcorn at the movie theater. We're gonna sit down as a family to play cards or bowl or whatever, and we eat. Just because. Those emotions, right? We're happy, we're sad, we're glad, we're mad, we're frustrated, we're bored, we're all of those things. We're lonely. Those will push through our decisions to make change. And access, just simply having things around. One of the things that happened to me on our trip was access. We bought some snacks, took them into the room, and guess what? They're there, and I ate some of them. Access, just having them. You pass by a coworker's desk, you grab a candy. You're going by the kitchen, you're not hungry, but you see something in the fruit bowl, you grab it. And then taste, the perfect combination of fat, of sugar, of salt, where you eat and you say, I can't just have one. The taste of something takes us back in our memory to a different time. It puts us in a position that reminds us of a better place. It even sometimes takes us to a place where it was not so much fun, but it was comfortable in our memory. So habits, emotions, access, and taste. And our call to action. One, join the challenges. Every month we have a different challenge. Join the challenge. Don't just let these be things that show up on the shelf, on the video, and you don't pay attention to them. Right? So join the challenges. Figure out your why. That was January. Why do you want to do the things that you want to do in terms of your health? What are your goals? Is there a family member? Is there a child, a granddaughter, a son, traveling that you want to do? What's your why? Then begin learning how to fast for a 24-hour period once a week. That is the initial process. That is the initial goal that we have. You just saw that Steve was saying that he and his wife have been fasting 24 hours, 48 hours. People have been fasting 72 hours, 96 hours. We start with 24 hours. And then figure out in the HEAT model, which one is the one that pushes you. I'll tell you, for me, there are 3 of them. EAT. Emotions, access, and taste. Which one is yours? What is the thing that often gets you when it comes to getting off of your meal plan? We learned about creating a menu, a 7-day menu. Your job, your challenge was to create a meal that was based on whole foods, minimize the processing, not a lot of added sugar, that had starchy and non-starchy vegetables, lean meat, healthy fats, lean protein, healthy fats, portion sized, and was tasty. And then find someone to mentor. Find someone to teach the new year, new you process. That's what we want to do, because there are over 1 billion people on the planet that are either diabetic or non-diabetic. You can be a voice for change. Share it with them. And don't just tell them and come back 5 months later, but share it and check in with them. Be their partner. Be their mentor. Show them how this is done. Make sure you're getting your labs checked, those things that are critical to make sure that there aren't any complications that are developing. Talk with your physician, with your healthcare provider. We did a show on what labs you should get. Go back and take a look at that. And then for this month, the challenge is to incorporate into your routine some kind of physical activity. Now, I didn't say join a gym. I didn't say go out and start playing football, basketball. You need some physical activity that you're going to incorporate into your routine. And I want your physical activity per day, right? Well, let me back up and say it this way. So 150 minutes per week is what we're saying. 150 per week. And try to see if you can burn upwards of 200 calories per day. 200 calories. Whatever it is, incorporate it. That's the challenge for this month. So when you show up, join the challenges. Number 2, call to action, is tell your story. When you are here, share your story. Let us know what's going on. Let us know the successes you've had, the places where you're finding challenges, because we can rally around you and we can then say, hey, we're not alone. We're here to support you. That's the benefit of community. And then invite a friend. Send them the link. Let them know what's going on. Let them know the path that we are on to reverse diabetes, to improve our metabolic health. If you're out there and you're saying, hey, I'm not diabetic, so this doesn't apply to me, not true. Because the things that we talk about in terms of being able to manage diabetes are exactly the same things that we talk about when it comes to managing other metabolic diseases like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and on and on and on, polycystic ovarian syndrome. All of that happens when we are improving our health. Yes. So join the challenge. Share the link. Let them know that we're here. This past weekend, we did our 3rd episode of This Week in Review. It is a place where we recap the shows that we have for the week. Keep an eye for that. That is 6 o'clock on Sunday mornings. If people are missing, if they've missed the show, you can send them there. They can get all those shows with some commentaries that we're doing there as we move through This Week in Review. Later this month, we will have our community meetup. So make sure that you are joining us for that. And we'll tell you what those dates are once we do it. And then in the month of August, we are going to be celebrating 4 years. 4 years here on the channel, and we'll tell you more about what that's going to look like as we move closer and as we celebrate that. Okay? Awesome. So I'm always glad when I see you out there, glad that you are part of this community, glad that you are here learning, right? Glad that you are spending the time to improve your health. Yes. Later this week, we're going to be doing our check-in because we're going to be continuing our fasting. We'll take a look at that. Come back and you get to see some more of the things that I ate on my trip. You get to see some pictures of that as we do our check-ins. As always, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. And here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. I'll see you at one of our check-in later this week on This Week in Review on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and then on Monday next week, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Dwain Woode, MD. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening.